Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ocean City Real Estate and Lifestyle blog. Excited to come back to you here after a couple weeks, Stephen. We're back on and back together. How have your weeks been?
Been a couple weeks. They've been busy. They've been hectic. They've been good. So we've seen some nice weather for the most part. Some mixed days. Obviously, it's Maryland, so it's the Delmarva Peninsula. One day it's 70, the next day it could be 42. A little bit of that happening this week. So looking forward to it warming back up. But yeah, good couple weeks. I was solo. Myself and my son were home last week. I stayed home because we have 3 dogs to take care of as well, while my daughter and wife got to enjoy Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I say enjoy, but they were down there for cheerleading. So there was some enjoyment. There was some stress, and there was a lot of cheerleading, obviously. So they had a great time. Both of my daughter's teams made it to day 2, with one of her teams placing 4th out of 40 teams that were at the event. Really close to being 2nd or 3rd, from what I understand, but not that big into cheerleading to know how the scoring and all goes.
Right.
But apparently they were very close. And then, just get my son back and forth to Decatur baseball. So in the past 2 weeks, I think we've had 6 games. Went 6-0. So we had a big win against Delmar last night to run the Decatur varsity record of 13-0 on the season. So great start to the season. We got 6 more games left in the regular season, and looking forward to hopefully them making a deep playoff run when that runs around. So we'll see. But how have your weeks been recently?
It's been good. Like you said, busy. It's like I feel like we're definitely seeing activity. In the real estate market, I think we've got some activity with our agents who are out busy, and then I think Ocean City's coming back to life a little bit too. I mean, every weekend we seem to have some more folks in town, and I was in town this past weekend, and it just seemed like a steady flow of traffic out on the highway. I went to dinner Saturday night and had to wait a couple minutes at Oyster and Scales downtown.
Oh, yeah.
So I like the rebirth, the activity. But yeah, kind of like you. I mean, finishing up cheer. My girls are cheerleaders too, getting ready for us to go on onto a trip to Florida as well, and a little bit of lacrosse, a little bit of everything.
The normal.
Yeah.
Family, real estate. Yeah.
Yeah, the family's the why, and the real estate's what we do to
the how.
Yeah, exactly, to make us or allow us to do the why. But busy times here. I think we were, as you and I were sitting down, kind of thinking about what we were going to chat today on, the topics we were going to chat on. I mean, it's like we got a couple events coming up here, and then before we know it, we're going to be like in the thick of things here.
It's really crazy to me. I feel like Memorial Day just seems super early to me this year, and it's really taken until like last week for me to wrap my head around that it's a month away basically from Memorial Day. I feel like that's typically like end of May, so it's taken me a little bit to adjust to wrap my head around. But yeah, we're right outside the thick of it. When Ocean City becomes one of the largest towns in the state of Maryland over the summer. So right now we're one of the smallest towns in the state, but that we're just a month away from every week having new people in town, new events, the weather being good for 90% of the days down here. So super exciting. And yeah, we're about to kick off the season with one of the bigger events we have. Springfest starts Thursday, the 23rd. Yeah, Thursday. So I don't know how familiar everybody is with Springfest. If you come to Ocean City, you probably know about it. But last year, over 200 vendors. I think this year, probably expecting about the same. It's been kind of building back up since COVID. And I think, like 24 and 25. So the last 2 years, we've really seen the numbers get back to where they've been before COVID. And I think there's 20 live music acts happening, over between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 different stages down there. So show up, lots of different artisans that hand make cool beach crafts, signs, lights, all kinds of stuff. So you ever go down there?
It's been a few years, but I mean, I kind of look back in Springfest and Sunfest were the two marquee events, kind of on the bookends of our summer. You know, Springfest was always known for a time to kind of kick off things and then wrap it up in the fall with Sunfest. But one thing I do notice is that Springfest is earlier. It seems like
Sure.
it's definitely earlier than what it's been in some of the past years, 4/23 to the 26th. Um, the other thing I don't remember, though, but the hours are 10 to 6. I always felt like I was down there a little bit later in the day when we'd go to Springfest. But according to what I could find, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is your hours of Springfest coming this Thursday through Sunday. Thursday was always the day when like the locals would want to go down, and that was used to be the best day to get food, is what they would tell you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I typically make it in for an hour or two, maybe every other year. I think this year I'm slated to make my visit. Yeah. So I've never really eaten there. I think we've sold like some fundraiser raffle tickets previously when I was in the Rotary Club. We sold beer down there, I believe.
Yep.
That's like one of the big things is getting a beer section, getting an hourly slot, I should say, to sell the beer for fundraising events. So I know that's a big fundraiser for a lot of nonprofits here in the area. I didn't realize it was only 10 to 6 either. Kind of 6 seems like an early cutoff because I feel like I saw some of the bands were starting around 5 maybe, but
maybe my information's incorrect.
So
double check that. Check ChatGPT for that.
But yeah, it does seem like, that's kind of like the we always say this, but like maybe the real unofficial kickoff of the season. I mean, sometimes we look at the boat show, we look at President's Day weekend, we look at things like that, but weather's good. This is bringing in a lot of out-of-towners. It's letting our locals set up shop as well, somewhere they might not see as many people on a regular basis. So, probably going to bring close to 100,000 or so visitors from what I could tell, and have a great economic impact for obviously our community and hopefully start things off great on the right foot for the season, the 2026 season.
Yeah. No, I looking forward to it here. And honestly, it's like this is from here on out, we're going to have something just about every weekend, but kicking it off with Springfest and then fast forwarding to the following week, we have another big one that's is almost has the history of Springfest, and that's Cruisers Weekend, right? It's kind of every year in the spring, kick off the year with some cruisers.
Cruisers Weekend's always fun. Come in early, if you want to get into town, because traffic's going to be a mess, I'm sure, at some points. They do have the boardwalk car parades now. I think that was something that started around the COVID time, so that's become kind of a tradition now. So I know everybody's excited for that. But yeah, another event that I think I saw, probably close to 100,000, if not more, attendees. I saw we usually draw over 3,000 custom classic cars. So, this is the classic car weekend. I'm sure we'll see some newer American muscle cars, but this one everybody brings out their 60s Corvettes and, their Chevelles. So it gets loud. It's it really is a great weekend. If you're into cars, if you're into that kind of thing, people set up early on Coastal Highway. You just see, cars are endlessly driving up and down. And I do feel like, there's always some incidents, but cruisers are usually pretty respectful to town, not too crazy. Obviously, there'll be some traffic citations, that sort of thing, but it's always a great event. And I know it brings a lot of people to town. And I know, car people are always looking for a reason to bring their cars out. And what a better place than on the boardwalk and down by the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, cars and beach, that kind of all goes hand in hand. Even like when you could think back to like the Beach Boys and like so many of their songs were like, around cars and cruising. And I think that, that goes hand in hand pretty well. According to what I saw, it said vehicles 1985 and in previous, or 1985 and older, or pre-1985 vehicles, which you're going to see here, which seems hard to believe because that's in my lifetime. And now we've got classic cars from my youth.
Yes, it's funny how times change. I think that's probably for like the official shows and things.
Right.
But we definitely see, the 2000s,
zipping around,
90s Mustangs down here. We'll see some newer Camaros, Corvettes, all that. So it'll be a great mix of cars. Again, I know there's some there's some convenience stores and things that are more friendly to the cars than others. And so I think if you come, you probably have an idea of where you're hanging out. But yeah, it's a great atmosphere just seeing people just kind of hanging out on the side of the road, everybody driving up and down. I like to look at the cars, so it doesn't bother me too much. But it's a loud event. It's a fun event, but just be ready if you're going to come into town. Also, it'll be a what do they call it? A special zone and
special event zone.
So special event zone. So just be aware that, all the speed limits and things like that will be reduced during that weekend, just to try and keep it a little safer for everybody.
Yeah. So. In fact, as I was coming in this morning to the office, I saw those, the big signs were up for special event zone, which got me thinking about cruisers as to when cruisers was coming. So.
Yeah. I think the special event zone starts just the PSA, the 28th, not the 30th. So actually a couple days prior to the event starting, if I read the marquee correctly as I was driving in. So if you're driving through town, in the next couple weeks, I would just say, keep the speed limit right, because they're going to be looking for people that are out there speeding.
Right.
But it's an awesome event. Come enjoy town, enjoy looking at all the cars, and be a bunch of vendors set up as well for all those gearheads.
Yeah. And I think there's probably some entertainment with that, too.
There is. They usually do some concerts and things down by the boardwalk, I believe. I did not have a chance to see what the big lineup might be, but they usually do have a couple good bands. I'm sure all the bars down there will, Purple Moose and places like that will have some live music throughout the weekend for sure. So,
right. Have not been to the Purple Moose in years, but I did hear, I think didn't they do a renovation in there this past winter?
Yeah. So I think I usually walk by the Purple Moose just because not in that element a lot of times when I'm on the boardwalk. Have seen it at Ocean's Calling, but yeah, they just did a huge renovation. Apparently it's beautiful inside. I've seen a lot of the older, like maybe some historic Ocean City, what you might consider dive bars, kind of doing the same thing. I saw Bearded Clam, which used to be one of my favorite spots when I was younger. Just opened an outdoor bar.
Really?
So that might be one of the first renovations they've done since it opened. But that was always a great locals hangout spot. So yeah, it looks like what's awesome to see is just people reinvesting into the businesses, which shows something's going right.
Yeah. I'll tell you, so Christy and I, we went to dinner, Oyster and Scales downtown. I forget the exact street, but it's in the old, it was Hannah's Marina deck when I worked there years ago, kind of next to MR Ducks and the Angler. And it's a great spot. The ambiance is good. But when we left, I decided to drive like basically towards the inlet and wrap down Baltimore Avenue. And it's interesting. There's like a lot of people between MR Ducks, they definitely had a crowd out there, which then we're going to the, what's the town's oldest bar?
Harbor Inn.
The Harbor Inn. There was some traffic back and forth and up to like the Cork Bar, to the Bearded Clam. I mean, there was like 6 or 7 bars that all had people kind of out moving around for a April Saturday night. I thought it was kind of interesting that they were all open and had a few people in them.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was not in town much last weekend, but I did hear last weekend it felt like almost a summer weekend. Like it was pretty busy. A lot of people in town. Weather was good on Saturday, if I recall, Friday and Saturday maybe.
We had some fog in there a little bit too.
So yeah, we probably had a lot of weekend warriors that made the trip down because it was looking like a good weekend. And but yeah, I did hear it's always nice the earlier you see people out in the year. It just gives you a good feeling because it means that we're about to really open up and it means summer's almost here. It means we get to enjoy the beach just like everybody else. So,
right. Our perspective being here versus somebody who comes here every summer. If you come here every summer, you're like, that's what all you're used to is summer and it's activity and things are going full speed. But for us who live here and kind of settle in a little bit with the winter where it's quiet, and then obviously you flip a switch and these weekends get busy, it's kind of like, whoa,
It takes a minute to adjust to, but I'll say it's nice.
Yeah.
The winter gets quiet. It gets a little dark, gets a little slow here, which is probably one of the reasons a lot of us have moved here to live here. But yeah, it is nice when that switch flips, at least for the first few weeks, and you get out back into the hustle and bustle. And then, by the end of the summer, we're usually ready for it to slow back down a bit, I will say, for sure.
All right, so looking ahead here, this weekend is Springfest. I almost got that wrong. Springfest, right into Cruisers, then Mother's Day, then Memorial Day. I think, right? Like that's 4 weeks out.
Pretty much. I mean, we're right there. There's something going on every weekend. I live in the town of Berlin, so I looked up our schedule. farmers market starting. There was the vinyl record.
Oh, I
It was
heard
like a
about that.
record festival last weekend. I didn't have a chance to get down there, but I talked to some clients that just moved to the area that went down there. They said it was crowded. That was a great day of weather, so it was nice to see people out in town. They shut down some of Main Street to have a little bit of flow, but yeah, my clients had a great time. It's always nice. I don't know how many people have been to historic Berlin that listen to this, but if you haven't, I'm biased. I lived there, but for a day, like a day trip, just to get out, check the shops out. We got a bunch of great restaurants. We got some breweries. We got a distillery now. It's a great little spot. And then there's always events. So like I said, last weekend we had the vinyl record store day. We have the farmers market that started every Sunday now, I believe. Our first big event is June 12th, the bathtub races. So that's kind of cool. Bathtub races, super old town thing. Main Street gets shut down. Not all, but a lot of the local restaurants or bars or even other service companies make these quote unquote bathtubs, and then we race them down the street for the day.
Right.
So DSN, Delmarva Sports Network, usually broadcasts it to give you an idea of
Live coverage.
kind of how big of an event it is. But that's probably the one most Berliners have circled coming up here is June 12th, the bathtub races. So
yeah, great spot to go check out. I mean, Berlin is really a picturesque town. It's got a nice main street. There's some cool old homes, some great establishments, restaurants to check out. And then you can also head down to Assateague right from there pretty quickly and make the loop, do the big loop, go out to Berlin to Assateague to Westo and then back into town.
sounds like a great day to me.
All right, there you go. All right, so that kind of covers our events coming up here. One thing I did want to hit on just to cover some of the real estate, Stephen, is I think we talked about this before, but according to Realtor.com, April 12th through the 18th was the best week to list your home for sale. What are your thoughts on that timing?
I mean, it makes sense, right? April 12th to 18th. Mid-April, we've probably gotten through most of the terrible weather all across the country, not just here. But, so thinking about timing as far as taking pictures for listings, making sure it's presenting well, it does make sense that, a little bit later in the spring as the sun is out shining, the rain has stopped, the snow, and, some areas, obviously, we had snow later into the year
Right.
than we usually do, which I honestly, for a listing that I was working on back in February, and we're under contract now, but that was one of our concerns is like, how are we going to get some good outside photos? So, sellers have those concerns. So it doesn't make sense, or it does make sense, that mid-April is a great week. I did not launch any new listings last week, but I can tell you I had one go under contract last week. So showing more people out looking, getting a little bit more serious. And yeah, I also had, I had quite a bit of buyer activity last week too. So one of my buyers remarked, hey, because some of these buyers I'm working with are having trouble finding that right property, right? So I always tell people the closer we get to April, May, like you're going to see more inventory. You're going to have more choices coming to the market. And I did have, buyers that are remarking they are seeing more properties that they might have some interest in. So I definitely had a little uptick in showings last week. But I just think with the weather, with getting the timing, I mean, we all know listings aren't typically they're not like a 2-day thing, right? You're not talking to someone on Monday and we're on the market on Tuesday. Like that's just not how it goes. These can be 2, 3, 6-month conversations, just making sure the property's ready. So we always kind of have a North Star. So I would think anybody you're talking to late February, you're probably looking at that early to mid-April window to get on the market, because that gives you time to do your repairs, maybe do a pre-listing inspection, maybe us to get out and get the photos. So yeah, it makes sense. Definitely saw an uptick in activity. For us, I think it makes a lot of sense with what we're talking about, right? That's the week before kind of all the big events here in town are starting. So people that want to maybe try and get under contract prior to Memorial Day or June 1st, like that's almost like the last hurrah, right? Like you have to be up, because typically we might see some 21, 25-day settlements, but typically we're 30 days or so. So, yeah, that's kind of, for us, it's almost like, hey, if you really want to catch the spring market, you have to be up by April 12th. Not saying that things won't sell after, but that's where you're going to start getting the most eyes on it.
Yeah, this is where the market gets kind of condensed, right? We'll have a really like sometimes you have this like 6 weeks here that people are doing everything they can to try to get in here to get some summer, and so it definitely, to your point, I think makes sense. You get it on during that peak demand season. People are, at this point, I mean, we're past the snow. We've got green grass, we've got flowering trees and flowers out there. It feels like we're ready to go. So it makes sense from a demand standpoint.
I guess one other thing too is we're 2 months away from school being out around that. So people are starting to think about other things. Like if you were trying to wait till your kids got through a school year before you moved, areas. I mean, that again, you're trying to time all this stuff up as now it's never perfect, right? But this is what we work with our clients to do, is time this stuff up to make their life as stress-free as possible. So yeah, I mean, 60 days, you're in a primary residence, you don't want to move before the end of the school year. That makes a lot of sense to get up mid-April, have people start looking at it, because then you got some wiggle room there with the settlement. So yeah, I mean, the timing, the more you think about it, there's probably more things you can kind of say why, but I would say it's combination of weather, life factors. There's not a lot of big like holidays per se coming up. There's no Christmas. We're through Easter. So yeah, there's just more time to kind of to think about real estate. And like I said, I definitely saw an uptick in some appointments last week. Did you launch any new listings last week?
So I think we had 2 or 3 go out last week. And with the trend I'm seeing, it's like every time we list a property, it's like taking 7 to 10 days till it's really getting the traction. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, it's like we would list something and then that first weekend, it was multiple offers and then everybody's making a decision by that following Tuesday. I mean, even though we are in the thick of the spring market with probably the most demand, I'm not seeing that quite as much. It's still more of like you get it out there and then, it takes 7, 10 days till people start to get some traction and then it gets activity. Not always the case, but that's what I noticed. The ones that came out this past weekend, some initial showings, but maybe not full steam yet.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I still think if you're getting showings that first weekend, that's great. I mean, that means you've got it priced right. Probably it's probably showing pretty well. So, yeah. So saw some upticks last week. I think timing, that all makes sense. Yeah, hopefully it leads to some more listings for those folks we have, or even those folks listening here that are still looking for that right property to hit the market.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't gotten on the market yet, that's okay. Realtor.com's opinions, the 12th through the 18th is the best time. Zillow is about a month later. So Zillow's tracking towards the end of May as being the best time to list your property. So I just, since those are 2 of the top portals, where people are going to find homes, I think it's interesting to get their opinion. But my point is, you got some time,
Houses sell all year,
right?
I mean, we can give as many stats and suggestions as we want. I mean, this timing makes sense. The more we talk through it, like, it does make sense as to why it would be a great time to list your house. But if you've got a great house and you price it right and it shows right on July 7th, it's probably going to sell.
Right.
Might not sell on July 7th, but you're still going to get activity. So we just like to give as much good information as possible. Again, I think for us, probably getting on earlier in the spring, mid-April, makes sense, because people are a lot of times looking to get in before Memorial Day, June 1, July 4th. We have some certain dates that people want to make sure they're in town for. So
yeah, we're always future pacing as real estate agents. I think we're always future pacing, helping our clients kind of have pick targets. There's always, like you said, the activity throughout the entire year, but we're picking targets. Like right now, I mean, if you're making an offer today, you might be hard pressed to get in before Memorial Day.
Memorial Day might be tough, yeah, but June 1,
yeah,
doable.
Right. Okay, well, what else we got? It's been a relatively quiet week, with news, but the events stacking up here, real estate market in full swing. Anything else you've been thinking about this week?
No, not really. I mean, just out there talking to people. There's people want to do stuff. So I know there's still some negative headlines out there. I mean, I'm working with multiple buyers that if the right house was there, they'd be under contract. So, the real estate industry news has been a little slow. It's kind of been the same stuff. Uncertainty, interest rates jumping around a bit. I mean, I think they're like 6.3 today. So still lower than probably last year. Don't have the stats right in front of me, but this time last year, I would think 6.3 is probably a bit lower than where they were. But yeah, I mean, there's all that negativity. There's always going to be that stuff. If it's not, economic uncertainty, is it? What other uncertainty is? Is it weather uncertainty? Whatever it may be. So what I would say is, there's people out there looking. We're getting into the thick of our market right now, and don't pay attention to all the negativity. If you're thinking about, you want to do something, reach out to us. We'll let you know what's really going on here. But yeah, I mean, nothing earth shattering. Just trying to help more people buy and sell homes right now. And we got one more. Just circle back to me. One more cheerleading event this weekend for my daughter. A couple more weeks of Decatur baseball, and then then the summer's here. So
Right. Yeah, I think what I say, or what I'm seeing in the market right now, is life events still drive the market. Life drives the market, and that's what we've got. You've got, people this time of year. I know some of the topic with a lot of parents is kids going off to college, right? Graduating high school, going off to college. And then they start to think, all right, well, do we need the big house anymore? That comes into play. So life event of downsizing, upsizing,
sure.
People's families expanding. So there's always movement in the market, which I like.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, that kind of wraps us up for today. We'll come back in the next 2 weeks, maybe report back and see what else we got going on. But if you like this information, please share it with a friend. And until next time, make it a great day.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.